Hi, I'm Charlene Shirk, and welcome to Digital Champions, where we speak to some of the most innovative thinkers in the digital space. And joining us today is Ward Clayton with Clayton Communications. Ward, thanks so much for joining us today.
Good morning. How are you?
I am wonderful. So, Clayton Communications, the thing about digital platforms and being successful in all these digital spaces is having content, constant content. Talk to us about what kind of content you create.
Well, content can be anything from a simple press release, if somebody needs some assistance with that, all the way up to the point where if you have an event, a sporting event, or I've promoted a circus, you can go all the way to the fact that you do the whole 9 yards on the event. So it could be small pieces or humongous pieces.
That's so interesting, and that's one of the beauties about being a content creator is that it's like you get to learn something new all the time, get to meet different people, write different things. But then that leads me to my next question. You know, obviously to be successful on digital platforms, everyone says one of the keys is consistency. You have to consistently push out content. But that's the hardest part. So give us some insight as to how can you be consistent in your content creation?
One of the first things I learned in content creation is don't overwhelm people with numbers. Personalize it. For example, Charlene Shirk, we want to tell Charlene Shirk's story, where you came from, what inspires you, just your personal story, and that resonates with people. That doesn't say not to include that you gave X number $1 million to charity, but that's a part of the story. You're a part of that. Who does it benefit? Always think of the personalization of it.
Now, on that personalization and creating that engaging content, how do you make Charlene Shirk sound interesting? Because there is a lot of content out there. Not all of it is good. How do you create content that people are going to want to engage with?
Well, I learned pretty early on. I was a big sports geek when I was a kid. And I learned I was interested in what the guy scored, but I wanted to know who he was behind the scenes. Everybody's got an interesting little tidbit in their life, whether it's good or bad, and you could always find the great things and tell that story about who that person is. And I think people really like that.
And then let me ask you this. In the digital sphere, we've got a lot of different platforms with a lot of different demographics. And you can, and if you're in digital marketing, you'll realize that you'll push out a piece of content. It may not do well on a particular platform. How do you know when it's time to take a look at that piece of content and go, okay, is this just a piece of content that's not working for us? Or is this a piece of content that needs to be on a different platform? How do you make that decision when and if to move it to a different platform?
Well, your baseline is, number one, who's the client? Who are you working for? What are they comfortable with? Some people may not think TikTok is for them. They might want Facebook. But they also, it's depending on who you want to reach. If you want to reach a younger set of people, TikTok's probably where you need to go. So that's your baseline that you really need to look at.
And then let me ask you this. Do you ever find yourself in a position where you've created a piece of content you're pretty proud of and you give it to the client and they're like, I don't like it? Like, how do you deal with that? Because content can be very subjective.
Well, I think you need to ask them, what don't you like about it and where do you want to go with it? It's all based upon, they're the ones who you're serving, so therefore they need to give you some direction of where you go from there.
That's good advice. And we have about 30 seconds left, and I want to ask, what's your best tip for content creators?
Make it fun and make it personal. Don't just tell a drab story. Make it so people will remember it. That's why Geico's been so successful.
Because we remember the gecko in the Geico.
Exactly.
All right. Well, Ward Clayton with Clayton Communications, thank you so much for joining us today on Digital Champions. We loved having you on board. And if you'd like to learn more about what Ward is doing over there at Clayton Communications, we want you to start, of course, at dailyadbrief.com. Well, I'm Charlene Shirk. That's going to do it for this episode of Digital Champions, and we look forward to learning something new with you next time.
Simplify presents Addressable CTV, combining the power of TV with the targeting and attribution of digital. Simplify's Addressable CTV delivers massive reach with the ability to scale without sacrificing precision. TV buyers can generate incremental reach with household-level targeting, frequency controls, reporting, and insights. To learn more about Simplify's Addressable CTV and what it can do for your clients, visit simply.fi.